What's up, everyone? Grizzly here, and welcome back to 7 Days to Die version 3.0 Sandbox Siege. And this is everything that you need to know. Today, we're covering all the latest information dropped during the Fun Pimps development stream for the upcoming version 3.0 update Sandbox Siege. Now, the live stream itself ran for about 90 minutes, and let's be honest, not everyone has enough time to sit through all of that. So I've gone through the information and I've pulled out what I think are the biggest takeaways so you don't have to. We'll be covering what I see as the 4 major additions coming in Sandbox Siege, followed by the pros and cons of the update, and then I'll give you my personal thoughts on where 7 Days to Die stands right now. So sit back and relax and let's dive into it. So let's talk about the sandbox options. This is going to be the main focus of version 3.0 and the biggest feature coming with this update. Right from the start, you'll notice an updated title screen with new visual effects that give the game a much more modern look, and they look pretty cool. The option menus themselves have also been completely redesigned. Everything is cleaner, easier to navigate, and most importantly, it allows players to see just how much they control now that they have their own game world fully customizable. So the new categories you're going to see in here are going to be tabs for players, entities, world, resources, crafting, traders, tasks, and then you're going to get some miscellaneous options to play with. According to the Fun Pimps, there's over 150 customizable settings available, and honestly, that's a massive amount of control. Players can adjust everything from difficulty modifiers and crafting progression to trader behavior and enemy settings. Some examples shown during the stream included options like headshot-only gameplay, crafting adjustments, trader modifications, and other gameplay tweaks that previously required mods to achieve. So let's talk about some of the presets that they've came up with. So to make things easier, they also added all of these preset options. So the first one I see, they're what I'm calling the generic presets. These are essentially the standard difficulty settings that we've always had. The difference now is that we can actually see the percentages and values behind those difficulties, so we just have a visual of it. Then you've got custom presets, and this allows players to completely tailor their experience however they want. So if you want a brutal survival experience, go for it. If you want more of a casual focus building world, you can do that too. Then you've got what I'm calling the Fun Pimp created presets, and these are developer created presets that the Fun Pimps designed themselves. Some are intended to be challenging, others are simply designed to be fun. And honestly, some of these look suspiciously similar to mods that we've already been playing for years. For example, the Chibi one to me kind of looks like Joke Mod. Let's talk about the next system, and that's going to be the Magnitude system. Now, this one is probably one of the more interesting additions shown during the stream. Essentially, a huge number of items in the game now have additional stats attached to them. Weapons, armor, clothing, mods, tools, and even utility items like cooking pots and anvils can now roll with varying stat values. The goal here is to create more meaningful loot progression throughout the game. So instead of finding a quality 6 item and being done forever, you still have reasons to keep looting because you might find a better version with improved stats, and this leads us into the combined table. To support this system, version 3.0 introduces a brand new workstation called the Combine Table. So it allows players to merge 2 identical items together. So for example, let's say you have a quality 6 shotgun that hits incredibly hard, then later you find another quality 6 shotgun with better range but slightly lower damage. If you use the Combine Table, you can merge the two and create a shotgun that inherits the best stats from both weapons. The developer stated that this system applies to virtually any quality-based item in the game. Personally, I think this gives a reason to keep looting late into a playthrough instead of immediately scrapping duplicate items. Next up, we've got the Degradation System. This is the next major feature, and depending on the type of player you are, this could either be something you love or you might just turn off. The purpose of this system is to make equipment management more meaningful. Players can now customize how item repairs work. So you can choose things from fully repairable items to settings like limited repair counts, and then you can go completely unrepairable items if you even wanted to do that. It's all adjustable throughout the game settings. So you can also even use the combine table to repair some of your stuff. So instead of using repair kits, players can repair equipment by sacrificing another matching item. So rather than burning through repair kits, you can feed duplicate items into the system. One interesting note mentioned by Lathan during the stream was that the game may occasionally prevent repairs depending on the percentage settings you've chosen. According to him, the system is designed to stop players from wasting repairs when they aren't actually needed, and thankfully, your first repair remains free. Next up, they introduced new POIs, art, and the shaders behind some of the new art. There wasn't a huge amount of information shared here in this section. The developers showcased a new industrial building and a soccer stadium. Unfortunately, we only got to see the exterior of both locations. What we do know is that over 60 new POIs are being added to the game, and developers also showed off this new shader-based sign system. So there are signs throughout the world and inside POIs that now feature improved depth and visual quality. According to the Fun Pimps, these visual upgrades actually improve performance instead of hurting it. So in theory, we get better visuals while reducing resource demand on our systems. So that's a win in my book. So now that I've covered the 4 major updates of this, let's talk about the pros and cons of this Sandbox Siege. So getting into pros, I see this as a way that console players can finally catch up to PC players. Now, this probably isn't the biggest, this is probably the biggest win for the update. Since console players don't have much access to mods, in fact, they don't have any access to mods at all, many of these sandbox options are giving them features PC players have enjoyed for years through the modding community. So that's a win. There's a huge potential for content creators as well. So with all these customizable options and multiple presets, creators now have nearly endless ways to create unique challenge runs. So we already saw presets that look similar to existing mod concepts. Like I said, the chibi mode immediately reminded me of the joke mod. I'm sure creators are already brainstorming new content ideas, and they'll be bringing those series to you real soon. It should be fun to watch. You might get more challenging gameplay out of this. Rick mentioned that some of these options can push difficulty beyond the current insane setting. And if that's true, I'm genuinely excited to see how crazy people get with it. And of course, we're getting improved performance, better visuals, and better performance. So that's something that every player can appreciate. Now let's talk about the cons of this update. We have to talk about the elephant in the room right off the bat. This version offers very little to no new content, pretty much for PC players. I would say the same for console players. So outside of the combined table, there isn't much new gameplay content being introduced. So we're not getting bandits. We've got no new quest system. We're still waiting on our new quest stuff, or our new quest system stuff. There's no new zombies. There's no new zombie variants. There's no story progression. And on top of that, there's just nothing. There's absolutely nothing new to this update beyond the option changes and the way that we can kind of sandbox the game. There's nothing new here. You also start running into potential mod conflicts. Now, I'm not a modder. I know enough to install mods and break my game from time to time, but I can already imagine these new systems are causing compatibility issues for some overhaul mods. Lathan briefly touched on this during the stream and suggested that modders may need to leave certain presets untouched or advise some of those presets to be directed to not be touched for the players so that they don't break the mods. Another con is that we're still stuck with magazines. Magazines still remain. There's no update to that other than you can adjust the magazine skill points that you get for reading them, but beyond that, you're still subject to the magazines. And I know a lot of players are going to be disappointed by that. So here's my personal thoughts on this version. Looking back at the roadmap presented around the launch of version 1.0, I don't think it's unfair to say that the Fun Pimps have struggled to deliver on many of their long-term promises. There are features we've been waiting for since the early days of development. Bandits are probably the biggest example here. Personally, I've been waiting for Bandits since Alpha 16, and every major update seems to come with the same message. Bandits have been pushed back. Rick addressed this topic almost immediately during the stream, which tells me they know that the community is frustrated.
3.0 does not have bandits. We have a dedicated team working on bandits. We're super excited about where they're going. We're not going to talk about them tonight. They will be more than just zombies with guns, so FYI. But
at some point, though, it's time to make that happen. My hope is that Behavior Interactive can provide the resources and support needed to finally get those systems across the finish line. Because while we all love 7 Days to Die and believe in what it could become, most players aren't willing to wait forever. 13 years is a very long development cycle, and some AAA games have taken less time than that. As for Sandbox Siege itself, this feels primarily like a console-focused update. Most of these features already exist in one form or another through PC mods. So the real question then becomes, did this update require nearly a year of development? Were plans changed after the mixed reception of version 2.0, especially during the 2.5 survival revival where we got some of the changes back? Did the acquisition by Behavior Interactive slow development down? Those are questions only the Fun Pimps can answer, and with that being said, there are definitely positives. I think this update helps close the gap between console and PC players. For example, Lady Everdex, who is part of my Grizzpocalypse crew, plays on console. So with these new options, it'll allow me to bring her in and have more content where I have someone secondary playing with me instead of running some old vanilla gameplay that I would have had to run with her before. And you guys have seen that 1,000 times. I also really like the combine table. That's a good addition. Ironically, though, it's another example of an older system making its way back into the game after previously being removed. As for the modding community, I think there will be some growing pains. We'll have to see how overhauled mods adapt to the new systems. One thing I did notice, however, was the absence of DLC push. No skin packs, no t-shirts, no spin-off game announcements, and honestly, I didn't mind that one bit. But with all that said, that's going to wrap up today's breakdown of 7 Days to Die version 3.0 Sandbox Siege. Hopefully this video saved you from having to sit through a 90-minute developer stream and helped you get the information you were looking for. Let me know down in the comments what you think about the update. Are you excited for the Sandbox Siege? Or are you still waiting for bandits, story progression, and some truly new content like I am? If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like, give us a comment, and subscribe to the channel. And as always, this is Grizz, and I'll see you on day 1 of version 3.0 Sandbox Siege.